In my previous video, I was talking about the CSS methodology, where to write rules in an element itself, we can also call it a component, or in binding with some specific wrapper. The idea is next. Inner rules, which describe how a component looks, should be separated from the outer rules, which describe its position on the page or in the wrapper. I've got the response from a couple of people where they shared with me their concerns. And concern number one, why shouldn't a component have the default margins? In this case, we cannot add it on the page without a wrapper class. Concern number two, it may be confusing when rules scattered between different pieces of codes and even files. In this video, I want to show you another example and explain why and how we can separate rules, and of course, I will try to dispel the people's concerns. On the screen from the left, you can see a card which has a photo, job title, company name, type of the job, remote, office, etc., and company logo. The markup for this page can be like this. It can be the div with class card. Inside we have two more blocks, header and body, and inside each subblock we have required fields. I assume that you may create CSS similar to this one, which basically repeats the markup structure. The problem with this approach is that if you decide to put, let's say, job title in the header, you have to rewrite CSS code. So better let's not put our elements deep inside, but keep them on the first level of the namespace. And it will look like so. Element that I will take as an example to talk about this methodology will be a company logo. Let's add a couple of rules for it, and I already prepared the code, so let's just copy. What we have here? We have inner styles like background color, border radius, height, padding and width, and we also added the rules to position it on the screen. That will be the right top corner with going a bit beyond its wrapper from the top. As you can see, we mixed the rules which describe how an element looks with the rules how it appears in the particular card container. What will be the consequences? The company logo element was introduced the first time on this page, but most likely later we will use it on other pages and inside other parent wrappers. To not repeat ourselves, we move this element outside card wrapper. I would even suggest to move it to the separate file, like this. But what just happened? We copied also position styles, right? However, on another page, a company logo may be an inline element or positioned to the left bottom corner. Of course, we don't want to reset the rules. Actually, each time when you reset the rules, ask yourself, maybe your code needs a refactoring. Let's revert these changes and try to start using the methodology that I propose. And we will separate the inner and outer rules. We will put the rules for position top and right inside the card body wrapper, like so. And we will remove it from here. Note that in this case we need to apply the outer rules as deep as we can in the structure, so to the card body class. Why? Potentially we can use the same element twice. Even the company logo, as strange as it may sound. For example, we can use a small version of it in the body of the card near the company name here, and also in the header, let's say in the right top corner. That is why we need to be specific with the wrapper. From this point, we can easily move the company logo element styles outside this file. And we will reuse it later. Coming back to the concerns. First was about margins, where to write them in the element itself or in binding with a wrapper. I would say, as a default rule, bind them to the wrapper. But there can be exceptions. For example, paragraphs. Button margin in some way is part of the paragraph. However, in my latest project, I started specifying margins for paragraph only for text container class. Something like text container paragraph inside margin. And for me, it works pretty well. There was one more concern about the modifiers, which I didn't understand completely, but let me give you an example. Let's say on some other page you want to use a small version of the logo, so you would just write a same class where you specify width and height and maybe padding, right? Let's say 1, maybe 1 and 1. And in wrapper class, you will address not the company logo class, but company logo SM, like this. The next concern is about separating the rules. For this, I would recommend to look at the CSS specification and at the Flex model in particular. Such rules as direction, flow, justifying, alignment, they are set in the wrapper. They describe position of the element and spaces between them. But rules like width, they are set in the element itself. I hope it makes more sense now, but write to me if you have the arguments not to follow this methodology. Productive discussion is a great way to learn.